It's schnitzel time. Gotta wake up early, put the chicken on the press, to bread it up. We gotta try our best. It's schnitzel. It's schnitzel time. Welcome, everyone. Look at all these beautiful people. We got Spunky coming up. Let's put him in the co-host spot. Definitely request the mic. If you want to contribute to the art of storytelling, talk about narrative, share in community. Let's see, Raz. Some of this HB action. We're on Yamaza Vision, courtesy of Yamaza himself. He's got us going. Let's see. Oh, he's got the space bumping. Me on the screen. Perfect. Love it. Well executed, Brother Bear. Oh, and our special guest is here. Let's just pull them up, put them at the co-host, just in case the freaks get rowdy. Spunky, what's going on, bud?
Yeah, we were in complete degen mode after Bees was giving me huge FOMO.
It happens.
Hello, hello.
Yeah,
It's
thanks, Bees.
terrible. Yeah. It's just I asked him one question about those NFTs, the inscripted ones. And then he said, "Yeah, it's nice. I got a few." And blah, blah, blah. And then suddenly I bought like two Dojino mini
Where do you
Doge, two
where do you get them
punks.
from?
From
I got me some Doge.
Yeah, from Doji.market. So
Okay, yeah, dude. I got some Doge from way back in the day. That's just it's just been chilling.
and I bought myself the World of Owls, which is the Moonbird collection on Doge. And I got the #1 inscripted one. So I immediately put it back for sale for 500,000 Doge. Let's see what happens. It's probably not going to get sold, but I don't care. Otherwise, I just keep it.
Exactly.
I never sell NFTs. It's terrible. I just have them in my wallet. This is the collection thing.
What else are you gonna do? 40 years, we'll see.
Who cares?
See where it goes. Oh, that is amazing. I hope everybody is having an exceptional holiday season, be it in whatever conditions you may have to endure. Just know that what matters the most is each other and that humanity that we get to share around the bonfire each and every day in our discussions here, and enjoy in the kindred flame of the human spirit that often seems lost in the holiday season, in the hustle and the bustle, in the forecasted fear, uncertainty, and doubt of not having the spread just right, the turkey done enough, and the present large enough. Just know that having you here today with me is one of the greatest gifts that I have received this year thus far.
So we have Michel Bonset on stage. How are you doing, Michel?
Well, I'm very happy to be here. Can you all hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Oh yeah,
excellent, excellent. Well, nice words about those festive days that are not always as festive for everyone. Hope you had nice days. Everybody who's still celebrating, keep on celebrating, and there's only New Year's left, and then it's all back to normal. So
that's how we Dutch people like it, right? Normal.
Kind of.
I don't know. I mean, dude, what if you could get Dickens' message out there? What if you could somehow profess the spirit of Christmas into folks' hearts all year long, minus Noel and the Mariah Carey and the presents and the Lambos and all that shit, but that sense of humanity, of compassion and empathy and togetherness. Some of that little magic I find constantly out here on this blockchain. What if we could get that every day in the world?
Yeah, just be a little kinder to each other. I think that's if we start there, it's a very big step.
Big facts. I think one of the ways we get there is through narrative, having the better stories. We get to essentially have a greater lens for observing the world, and then hopefully through those observations, ask the essential questions to help discern the nature of our realities. That way we don't get stuck on a state without raising the stage.
Yeah, I think you got it exactly right. It's funny to me because I've been listening to a few weeks of this comfort couch storytelling, and it's so funny to see that you took Spunky and really put your arms around him and seeing him a lot of good and a lot of hope. That was really fun to hear, and it made me a little proud also.
Man, that's awesome. Thank you. I mean, I I love what story holds for us, its potential, its architecture. I often champion in these spaces everywhere that we're not, Homo sapien, the wise ape, but we're Pantherian, the storytelling chimpanzee. Uh, and it's when you see character and go out and compete with the hero's journey and go through that process. For me, all I want to do is absorb it into the context of my own canon. I early in my blockchain days here, I would purchase NFTs based off of where I felt their lore fit kind of within my own story structure and theory for what I was presenting, which was a world of 333 apocalypses, essentially, turnings of the world. And you can easily fill that with other people's that kind of encode what had happened, to embed and codify where we were, to leave that footprint in the sand so it doesn't get lost in the unwritten pages of history. Even if it is discarded in a junkyard, at least it was written.
Those are great words, man. Sounds absolutely great. Yeah,
I'm sorry, I do that from time to time. I get to bloviating and I realize that I'm too far and I have to circle it back, pull it back down. But thank you for taking the time out of your day to come chat and chill with us on these spaces. This is where interesting conversation comes alive, and we'd love to hear what inspires you to write. A little bit about your process, but we'd also love just to get to know you and chat and chill with you and how you met these crazy baldies over here. God, we love them. Look at these freaks.
Before you're gonna start, Miss, you're not even following me.
Even better.
I'm never following you, man.
Oh my God.
You keep on talking, and I'm not. No, I'm gonna do that. Absolutely. After tonight, I'm following everybody, man.
Yeah, and to everyone in here, just give Michel a follow as well. It's
You're not following
legend
me.
behind the story. So yeah. Oh, here you have your mother. The one and only loser of. Miss, before you think, who is that guy? He lost 12 times in a row, and then he won one game of FIFA, and now he's proud that he won one game. So, that's
It's good game, sir. Write that down.
no, that first game, no one's seen it, and it was not.
Recorded by FIFA.
Nice. Right. Didn't happen. Oh, too funny. Too funny. Let's get this set up properly. There we go. What a beautiful day. Oh, and also for Nation Aliens, for the Extravaganza, to lead off any of our storytelling, we have the whole week's entries from the Spunky diary entries. So we have some good fun in store for you folks. If you also have anything that you would like to share, you can come on stage and read something that you've been working on, prose, poetry, and doing so, you win you a complimentary access pass to the Comforts Couch Writers Room. It's just a very simple complimentary thing that I made on Polygon. I can just send on over to you, but it helps you lets you have access to my notes on writing and things that I kind of gleaned through my process and what I've used to develop my own novel and scale it to what it is today. Just so that hopefully I can inspire more writers to the potential of crafting better stories. And luckily we have an excellent storyteller on hand today. What's going on, bud? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I don't know what you want to know. I don't know how far back you want to go.
What's your process? Like, how do you write? Do you go in isolation? Do you sit in the cafe? You go to the bar? You're in the park? You start out with one sentence? Like, what's going on with you?
Well, if we dial it back down to Spunky, it's all character. Serena Reiling and Richard Raphorst drew Spunky. So first there was the chameleon, and then was word. No, the chameleon was there and he had nothing. There was no surroundings yet. There was no tone of voice. There was no way of thinking. But I really no one of the people who read the text really does it. But I imagine him as a beast with a southern drawl, like a Southern American drawl, because I really love the sing-songy way that sounds, and it's I imagine Spunky as being somewhat of an innocent, somewhat of a naive, and not really childlike, but not very experienced in the world. So having that voice, that sing-songy voice, using some kind of old-timey wordings, really helped me to imagine the way he looks into the world.
100%. Oh yeah. No. I mean, with that voice, that's the lensing. That you get that insight into them. What a brilliant way to approach it, to lead from that. That way, you kind of just hope that, I guess for me, from what I gather, it's like you get to jot down through that journey versus a forcing or a leading. Like Spunky's trying, kind of essentially exploring as it's going along. I gotta
Yeah,
love that.
and I think what goes with the innocence is that feeling of loneliness he has. He's really longing for connection. That's one thing I love about him. He's pretty optimistic, but he's so damn lonesome. And I don't know how much of the lore you guys all know about Spunky, but he's living in a kind of desert-like terrain, and there's a big wall, and where the glass box he used to live in had walls. This wall is also the end of his world, but there's a whole other world behind that wall. So I love to go and start building towards the you call it the hero's journey. The hero's journey he's going to make towards that wall and crossing it and discovering a whole other world. But we can take years to get there if we want to.
Oh yeah, a nice meandering, if you would, to get towards that edge. Now, so just technically speaking, do you think it's possible to escape the hero's journey ever, to be able to tell the moral mosaic instead of just the monomyth?
Yeah, sure. I think, but absolutely, Oliver's journey for some stories, it's such a good tool, and it's so easy to fill in those steps your hero has to make. So I think there's a lot of different ways to approach the structure of what you're trying to tell. But if you have a bit of a bland, no, that's bland's not the right word, but a bit the naivete of the character, it's easy to send him into a hero's journey because he has so much to learn.
100%.
So it's in Ace of Spunky, it's a pretty easy process to put him in.
100%. In my upcoming book, I have a spy that wakes up on the beach not knowing who or where he is. Its subtitles called Innocence, and the next one will be Experience, and then the third one will be Wisdom. But you're exactly right. Like, him not having any memory of who he is on the surface, it allows me to not only drop him into the hero's journey, but then if I start thinking about the nature of cognition, I'm able to open up a whole new can of worms and questioning, because I have the blank palette is no longer the enemy. It's more so a field of possibility, if you would.
Yeah, in your case, I don't know too much about your books, but in your case, it's good to have a blank canvas and have someone start all over again without the weight of his ego and experiences. It's like being born again.
100%. No, I describe him emerging from the sea. He's like covered in seaweed. He's like trying to crawl and he can't get up. He just keeps falling in these tide pools and sloshing around in the tug and tow of the ocean as it's washing on the shore. And, he eventually lumbers towards this flickering fire in the maritime forest, and these humans poke him with a stick, not realizing it's a person. Then they like cut it loose, and then boom, born again, so to speak, birthed from the ocean. So.
Yeah, very nice.
But it's an inversion of another symbol. But I can go on and on about these weird literary techniques about inverting symbolism and all this fun stuff. But no, we definitely want to keep diving into you and your process with Spunky. And if you can, give us any tips, not any tips, but any alpha on where it could be going. If you could, I don't know how you could do that. And also on the structure of the story release. And I know X traditionally had a character limit, and us today as a species have a very short bandwidth. So getting that story out there in those little episodic entries, was it divided up like that to kind of keep people's attention for the story, or how did you arrive at that format?
Well, it's in with this, and first we had those. We used the 280 limit of characters, and I didn't want it to be too random. So the diary option was in the early process, and I wanted to see if I could tell a very short 7-day adventure that's accumulating. That's building on the last week's story. So Spunky is not set back to zero, but he's building on his adventures from the week before. And I love the limit of the characters is actually really freeing for me, because you need to go to some kind of basis, but also you want to show how Spunky is as a character, how he talks, what his vision on the world is. So you need to be short but sweet.
I love it, 100%. Freedom within constraint. So
exactly. Yeah.
I love it. No. I have also I've taken a similar format. It's not as short, but because of the way how long the novel is, each chapter is broken into these tiny little quatrains, essentially. Each little thing is its own image that kind of rhymes with the other image metaphorically as you're reading through this story. And I hope that my theory on it was that if by reading in those shorter spurts, you would get a kind of a dopaminergic reward by completing the small task. And then hopefully with the lead-in sentence from the next thing compelling you to read further, you would want to kind of hastening your pace through the page. And you wouldn't notice all my grammatical mistakes. Haha.
Yeah, what's so interesting to experiment with those kind of structures. It's some people see it as a constraint on your story, but it's so fun to give yourself what kind of limit, a kind of limit, and see where you get. And well, you're the writer, so if it's not working, you can try something different and start over again, or start in a whole new structure. But I think it's really fun to limit yourself with some kind of constraint.
1,000-fold. Now we've got today's reading all set up, and once we're done with that, if you can, where I would like to know definitely where you think Spunky is heading structurally in his journey, in his story. He and Dumpy, people have started to grow fond of the dumpster. And it's all of his shimmering flatulence. I even posited, I think, in one of the episodes, how cool would it be if he had different colored tubes based on what he was eating.
Oh, you haven't read this week, have you?
Not yet, no sir.
No, he had some special Christmas colors this week. So.
Oh Lord, that's good. That's good. But we do have that set up here. Thank you to the team for compiling that together. Y'all are amazing for getting that to me. I just love the format of it. I'm big on format. I've just been working on my own thing for so long. I get to geek out on this and seeing other people's words and talk to the people who write these words and put them together. And Terence McKenna said it best. He said, "If you know the language, you can recreate the world." And there's so much power hidden in the language that we use every day that we do take for granted as we misappropriate certain terminology for other meanings and whatnot. But language is a very messy thing, people. Very messy indeed. It requires all of us contributing. So if you got anything interesting to contribute or say, please ask for the mic. Until then, I'll bloviate and I'll continue to have this wonderful conversation with our special guest today. Man, you got me all excited, bro. Where did you can we back up a little bit out of Spunky though before we dive into the reading and
Yeah, sure.
just ask a little bit, like, where did you draw your initial inspiration for writing? Is it something you fell into or you always did or had an overactive imagination?
No. I fell into is exactly the right words for this. I was working in an office. I was doing data entry, and I was dying inside. I felt my soul dying day by day. And then the sister of a good friend of me asked if I wanted to write with a television series she just started. It's probably something you guys know also. It's The House of Anubis. I think it's a Nickelodeon series in the United States and perhaps also the rest of the world. But it started as a Dutch series. So she asked me to write a script and see if it was any good and if I had a feeling for it. And it was at a quality that I could start writing with the whole writing team. So I did a lot of scripts in my first year of writing. So I think it's around 2006 I started writing for film and television, and I'm still doing that. There's a really a big Dutch movie that came out last week that I wrote, and it's very exciting to see if it's the largest movie in cinemas this weekend. So we have to wait for the numbers tomorrow. But it all depends on what I'm writing, where I'm getting my inspiration from, because I'm also doing children's books. Now I'll do film, television. I'm doing theater. I'm doing YouTube videos. So just write. That's I think you can say it a lot better, but just write. Start writing. Don't stop writing. And if it's not for someone else, it's for you.
Exactly. Oh man, you got me wanting to pull up what Alan Watts says on writing advice. It's so great. It's amazing. He's like, you write because you have to. There's no other way. There you go. Would y'all care to hear it? It has a little vulgarity in it. It's okay though. It's good. It's in good fun. It's in good taste. This is from Alan Watts. This is on writing advice. I don't have advice. Stop aspiring and start writing. If you're a writer, get to writing. You're a writer. Write like you're a goddamn death row inmate and the governor's out of the country and there's no chance pardon. Write like you're clinging to the edge of a cliff, white knuckles on your last breath, and you've got just one last thing to say. Like you're a bird flying over us and you can see everything. And please, for God's sake, tell us something that will save us from ourselves. Take a deep breath and tell us your deepest, darkest secret so we can wipe our brow and know that we're not alone. Write like you have a message from the king, or don't. Who knows? Maybe you're one of the lucky ones who don't have to. Alan Wilson Watts on writing.
Here.
Oh man, I heard that when I first read that. I was like, right in the heart. I'll never be able to give this up. I told my wife yesterday that I was like, I'll die with my pen in my hand.
Yet.
Not yet. No, I've got 9 books to go. Whatever deal I got to strike to finish these 9 books. Just kidding. Anywho, Miss Sarah, thank you for popping in. Let's get you on stage. I just, if you haven't met her, let's get her up here. She is amazing. She's one of the authors for the sketchy novella. She and I co-authored the menagerie of input from the timeline of the sketchy fam, and wove that into a cool tapestry in no time at all. The whole process helped me reaffirm what I wanted to do as a writer and that what was possible and how I didn't need to wait 2 years for the agent to get to the publisher and do the thing and get it out there. That I could proceed forward with with this. What is up? Welcome to the conversation. We got Michel Bonset on stage, writer of the Spunky Works.
Well, how are you? I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday. It's always weird to come back. It's almost like you have a vacation and then you realize you need a vacation because you were on vacation. And so you kind of think about it. But I've been marinating on the writing process in general. I was in a space, I'm sorry for being late here, but we had to tie off in terms of what 2024 is going to bring to entrepreneurs and how people are going to have to change their business models. And as a writer who's written for many publications and ghostwritten for many more for the past 2 decades, I am so just gobsmacked, I think that's the best word, on how technology is giving the mechanical advantage to the creatives, to the storytellers, because for so long we've only thought that storytelling could only happen if you were a wordsmith or you had a panache for sitting your tail end in a chair and then putting the words on the paper. And because the mediums have changed so much in ways that we can tell our story now. So if it's music, if it's animation, if it's a graphic novel, if it's, any number of everything else in between stacked on top of each other, there's so much more available to somebody who has a story that needs to be told. And each one of us, we have one. And whether you know it or not, you do. You alone are uniquely qualified to tell. And one of the biggest burdens, I think, is a story untold, because we don't know what that could have been the catalyst to do if it had been released out into the wild. It's one of those things that I always ponder. My dad died too soon, and that was one of the things that I really contemplated yesterday. He died on Christmas Day in 2020 around my brothers and I, and we couldn't resuscitate him. And just earlier in that day, we were talking about him writing his story, his memoir, and he was only a 72-year-old. And he's like, I'm finally ready to do it. I've retired and now I can finally write my memoir. And then he was gone 2 hours later. And I thought to myself, I'm never going to waste a minute. And I'm going to make sure other people don't either. Your story doesn't have to be perfect. You just have to have a rough draft. And from that rough draft, you can, move and go forward in little increments. But perfection gets in the way of progress, I think, in a lot of ways. So I hope that everybody's encouraged that you do have a story to tell and your pocket family wants to hear it. So I'm excited to see how it all pans out. And I'm excited for you, Comfort. I know that you've always been a writer since you were a child, and these stories have been noodling around, and you think you have to have all the pieces first, and you have to have them in front of you before you can just build that sail and let it unfurl and take it to whatever place. And it's so wonderful to watch from the cheap seats how you are just blossoming with all these new tools, and how your storytelling has just improved, and it's just fun to listen from the cheap seats. I was finishing this morning a new journal because I'm going to be helping with the lore for Monkey Zoo. And so I'm getting to know the characters, and the characters are kind of quirky and weird. So I'll maybe read some excerpts when those start to kind of decide.
What?
I know.
Is it more than monkeys in the zoo? Can you give us
30
that? What's going on?
characters. I have 30 characters, and I have the lore. What ties all of these together, which is really fascinating too, because the core ethos around Hash Lips, I swear that man is like a giant magnet, and it just pulls, and it's his own universe, right? And it's so funny how many projects that the Hash Lips code kind of instigated or was the catalyst for, and the similar ethos in terms of what they want to accomplish for their communities. Like, you remember the moment we asked Hash Lips, and he's like, I want the message, the take-home message, to build others first, right? And so that was the core ethos. And Monkeys is very similar. It's like, we want to build better humans, and I'm like, I totally get it. And how are you going to do that with these characters? What do they mean? What's the lore? And how is it that people in the Pocket family are going to take those characters and run with them and make them their own? Because that's the goal of all writers, is to set a story free that someone's willing to make their own and kind of continue with the world building, So it's going to be a very interesting year. Let me say that. It's fun.
Oh, for sure. And if we can get that storytelling contract smoothed out, might be able to blockchain flip books. Now, do you need copyright ISBN for blockchain flip books, Sarah?
That is a good question. And actually, NFT Bark, his name's Steve. He does Coffee and Captain in the Morning. They just wrote a book that is out now. It's the Everything NFT book. And they actually had to go through the same kind of questions because they went through a traditional publisher, but they have a network here in the Web3 digital overlay. So you have a token gated ecosystem, but generally speaking, an ISBN, once upon a time, every version of your book. So if you had a hard copy, you needed one. If you had a soft copy, you needed one. If you had a different binding, where if it was an art book and you had to open it flat, you needed to know. If it was an audio book or if it was an ebook, if you made it into a calendar or oracle cards or a board game, each one of those things needed that ISBN number. Now, the digital overlay is different because what is an IS number? It really is that notification or notoriety or notarized that you own it, right? Yeah. So
we already get that.
Exactly. So the blockchain is our digital notary. So it should be a very interesting thing. I would strongly recommend to make sure that you would have, at least at the very minimum, your BTC, ETH, Sol, any of the whatevers, secure those domain names that are in the digital overlay in the various currencies that you wish to dabble in, because that is going to be something. We don't have the interoperability quite yet, but making sure you have that DID. And make sure your characters do too, because here's the thing. Right. So I don't know if you remember or you heard the news, but this weekend, Mickey Mouse is in the public domain. So
somebody was mentioning that the other day. Yeah.
So the ability to riff off of Mickey Mouse or anything else, it really has put the question in folks' minds: how are people going to relate to those characters, especially if it's in a video game, or if it's in a board game or anywhere. I mean, like Iris is open source, so people can take her and run with it. But your characters, if you have an Atticus Finch, if you have a character that is so unique as Harry Potter, you also have to make sure to notarize digitally their names and their entities, because they could AR or VR too. So it's a lot of questions to ask.
Man, oh man, come on, AI, get better. But no, I mean, to the storytellers, let them see it as like a fertile ground, more bookstores essentially. Each blockchain a new bookstore to share your story to people who love to read stories and like to own story. And I just wish one day you could attach something to it. If you had a Dickens first edition from way back in the day, that your family would be able to just procure some form of generational royalty off of it. I think that would be amazing, especially for people to be incentivized to support the arts once again. Honor the feedback loop, people, Awaken the brave, reckless gods within us all, and all that good jazz.
When you think of someone like J.R.R. Tolkien or C.S. Lewis, right? Tolkien's son, Christopher, kind of took the books and ran with it after his father died in 1973. And so you look at how generational wealth, we kind of ask ourselves, what is that? What does that mean? Because in order to have a generational wealth, one of my friends, Alex, she's an SEC lawyer type, and she's really, really brilliant. But basically, in order to pass on generational wealth at this moment in the timeline of history, you would have to have $50 million in assets in order to do that. And because, you're not just handing it off to one offspring, you have to have these kind of self-generating models, because, there's inflation, there's currency devaluation, there's all of these kinds of things that play into it. But that number 50 million was really steep because, back in the day, I was like, yeah, if you had maybe 10 million, you could live off the interest, really, and I was kind of marinating on it. But, that kind of thought, how you're going to build for the next 7 generations, how are you going to marinate on those smart contracts? How are you going, kind of embed them and bake within them an ability to pay your offsprings, for, many generations? And those are the kinds of questions that creatives and just builders in general are going to have to marinate on, because, statistically, if a person built a business in Web 2, let's just say Ford or a big company, generally speaking, it's the 3rd generation that the company's broken off, sold off, or disposed of, or goes under, because the first generation ethos that could build the company, the son or daughter could kind of continue it. But to have a 3rd generation who's never had to suffer for their art or whatever, they generally don't know how to maintain a business, let alone build another one. And so you kind of have to think about, how are you going to build projects that are going to inspire the next generation to be that maker mindset, to have the entrepreneurial spirit, to keep that Promethean fire going. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, no. I mean, when you were mentioning the 3rd generation, it breaks off. To me, it's like by the 3rd generation, without reaffirming the narrative structure, the mythos, of your lineage, of your whatever we got to identify with to give ourselves a sense of purpose, I guess, in that fashion. By the 3rd generation, if it's not reinforced structurally in a positive way, it can deteriorate or it calcify instead of growing and living and being the story. It's so important that we have the better narratives that we tell ourselves, so that we can understand the difference between being content with the life on hand, but not being complacent with what we're given, what we're granted access to, by where we were born or what we were born with, or whatever chance and life opportunities have given and or taken away from us. It's a very odd dance that we have to play.
Comfort, did you glitch out, love? That would be negative. No, we're going to make up the conversation that you were just
Did I
having
come back? Am I back?
with this
Oh
week.
my God. That was nuts. I just went free fall in official wormhole. I almost lost the whole space. Sheesh. My heart fluttered for a second. We haven't even continued to dive into questions with our special guest today, or done any of the spunky readings. Phew, so stay tuned, people. Sarah, thank you for being here. Everybody, Rambler, Spunky, and somehow checking in. Valley, I see you down there. All these green dots. Umaza, Bee's Nest. I mean, I don't have enough bandwidth to go through all these beautiful consoles coming through, putting their feet up, chilling on Comfort's couch, sharing in some story, spinning some yarn. No Rumpelstiltskin. All love, baby. Anyway, we got a whole lineup for you of the week's worth of spunky storytelling. I'm so stoked about it, just to see where it goes. Like I said, loving on some dumpy, pure rascality on all fronts. Now, what part? Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask you is, in general, maybe bring some folks up to kind of, chew the fat, as they say, especially down south. We had an opportunity to meet with family or meet with friends and relatives. And, when you think about when people come together in real life, the stories that spark interest. And I spent the last couple of days actually teaching a bunch of computer science majors. These are all scientists that are on the verge of graduation. The intricacies of various AI tools that they're not allowed to have on campus, right? And we started thinking about the hero's journey and how those archetypes of story characters, whether it's Campbell or whatever, Save the Cat, whatever a method of storytelling you want to employ, but it's very fascinating, and how that hero's journey is played out in just the everydayness, and you use that term a lot, the everydayness. And I watched in real time these characters, these kids learning and struggling, and then having a setback, and then, destroying the router and all the other crap that they did. But it's kind of this progression and then that aha moment. And I was curious if anybody else had interesting stories that they're allowing to slip by, without documenting, because our friend Ozzy is with his family, and he's recording his father's voice, and taking advantage of the tools that they have on hand to make sure that that voice is given, provenance. And I'm curious if anybody else in the room have taken the opportunity to document the stories in their own world, because they might not have a fiction that they want to tell, but they can definitely write down the memoirs of the folks that are around them, the people that are in their world, and the stories that they kind of collect. And so I was hoping that something interesting happened over the weekend that somebody's willing to flesh out and tell, because those are the kinds of stories that are iron that sharpens iron and connects us all as humans, So that's what I was going to ask. I know it's long and drawn out, Comfort, but I'm trying to figure out what everybody else is up to. And I know unless we invite them up, they're not going to speak.
Oh, we got some invites. But we did get a couple up. Yamaza came up. We still got Michelle up here speaking on the scene narrative. DJ's down there hanging out. Just kidding. DJ's up here on stage. He's heading out as Spunky. He's being ultra quiet. He said he was DJing and DJing earlier. So he might still be DJing it up. Miss Heather's setting the stage. She knows the stuff and the things and the people too. Make sure you give all these excellent people a follow up there. Stay connected. Join the conversation. Lend your verse.
Looking for them. There they are. Sarah, Rambly, HB, Heather, Michelle. Very nice.
You say Rambly?
Rambly.
I love
Sarah, Merry Christmas. How the hell are you? Miss you, love you.
I love you
Get
too,
to talk to you
Yama.
today.
Yes, there was.
Didn't start, and it never got a notification. I kept checking her page, and she had no purple circle. There's that for the record. 100%. Yeah.
Really? We talked
Oh,
this morning.
I
We had a
Oh,
chit
I
chat.
saw that she had a late, not to interfere here, but
There's a really weird thing. I did not see Comfort's purple halo. I actually had to go through the space that he announced last week in order to get this space going. I was here late because he couldn't find it.
weird because I saw her announce it was going to be late, and I was like, okay. 10:30 checked, nothing. 11 o'clock, nothing. And I was like, oh, I guess that's not happening. Anyways, just saying I missed you and we didn't get to talk today. So yeah.
Well, I'm tackle hugging you. I saw that in your neck of the woods. In your neck of the woods, you had some conflict and whatnot. And anytime it's the state of New York, of course, I have to worry fair and square that my pocket family's in danger. So of course, Gotham is under siege. Then I have to think about
I
that.
missed it. Tell me about it.
It's Boxing Day. Everybody's out there boxing. Hi, everybody. Happy Boxing Day.
Yeah. Heather, how many people did you punch with your gloves on today? You were boxing, you told me.
I still am. I'm in my car right now. I'm about to go in a different store. I'm ready to buy things. I didn't know what I came out to buy, but I just came out to shop. So here I am.
What do you think would happen, Heather, if you walked into the store, right? You looked around and you just threw on a pair of boxing gloves and just started looking around.
I think it'd be a really good TikTok video that
No, I should have thought that. Damn it. All right. Next time, next year.
She's Canadian. They're not pugilists. They don't box, and they only play hockey. They'll beat you with a hockey.
Excuse me, pardon me. Excuse me, sorry.
Sorry. Just punch them with the glove in the face. Jab. Excuse me. Sorry. Pardon me.
No, it's like they're wrapped in bubble wrap, or those Menachem Sock'em robots where you just move from the left to the right, but you don't really make contact, but you're kind of pretending. I think that's kind of the most Canadian of Canadian
What if you
things.
started like a store where you shop, but before you start shopping, you got to get into one of those big bubble suits, right? Like they bounce, like you're running around and you're
Like a padded room.
Yeah.
Like a padded room.
To go shopping in coats. Yeah.
You guys would look like a bunch of weeble wobbles. They weeble wobbles, but they don't fall down. They just kind of bounce back and forth.
Oh my gosh. Well, and hi, Sarah. Hi, Yamaza. Hi, Rambler, HB. Sheba King popped in just as I came in. So hi, Sheba. And Comfort, thanks for staying. And whoever's in this one, kick out. Hello. It might be DJ Nerd. And if it is, hi to you too. I hope you're all having a great day. And it is Boxing Day. So, be safe out there.
Heather, thank you for reminding me, DJ Nerd. All right, people, if you are looking, you're like, I gotta babysit the kids, don't know what to do, guess what? There's always your Mother Vision, right? You just hop on your Mother Vision, and he will babysit the kids, right? Watch out, though. There is curse words, right? And we might put on a Shushy song, because it's now on the Apple Music, so I played that, and it was not good. But very good at the babysitting of the kids, keeping them very entertained, laughing, having a good time. They like the candy. They don't understand half the words I'm saying. They're Dutch, right? So it's even better. Oh, yeah, it was DJ Nerd.
So you're basically just
I forgot
basically
to
just dancing around.
I'm pitching a service, but I forgot to mention that it was the DJ Nerd and the kids. It was fantastic.
And they're just laughing at you being crazy.
Exactly. Not with me, people.
Well, were you laughing at the same time?
Yeah. But they're laughing at me. I'm laughing with me. It's a different,
Yeah.
We had a good time, everyone.
It's okay. Hey, everybody's laughing because let the good times roll, baby.
So far, DJ Nerd with the kids, Jeff D's with the kids, Char with the kids. The kids are all over the Yamaza vision. They're having a
I
great
see
time.
this.
They're loving it, right?
There's a
They're like,
pattern.
who's that freaking? What the hell's wrong with his hair?
I dropped my kids at
Don't
home.
let
Get out of here, kids.
Ozzy hear that. He'll tat that back onto the brand Mazin story.
Oh God, yeah, you're right. And you're recording this, really?
Uh-uh.
Well, at least we know Sean.
Not soon enough. Listen.
I do. What's up?
AI updates and all my things. Yep. Sorry. Go ahead, Heather.
Oh no, I was saying if it's recorded, at least we know Char will hear it.
God.
She's always watching. She's always watching. Always listening.
Shout out to Char. We love you. I know you're going to hear this, so hope you're having a great day.
And Char, what are you eating, by the way? I know you're eating. I knew it.
You're out of control, you Muslim. All of you is. I'm about to retain order to the space. You know, bloviated Sarah off stage. Spunky's got their hand raised. I love it. From chaos comes the order. From the order to the chaos. No mud, no lotus. A good jazz. Spunky, what's going on, baby? Talk to us.
Yeah, I just wanted to let you all know, just if you want to have Yamaza dressed up as fast as possible, just show your kids. Because yeah, he went from shirtless to hoodie in 0.3 seconds, I guess. It was really nice.
That's all we have to do. Perfect.
Yeah.
Erroneous.
And he was surprisingly good with the kids, to be honest.
Oh, for the record, you must have used to work with kids in a former life, yeah.
Yeah, he is really great with kids. So yeah, just wanted to compliment him with that.
It's because he is one.
Sometimes there were folks who heard that Toys R Us song and it just kept repeating in our heads over and over and over again. Over and over. You know James Patterson wrote that.
Oh,
right?
I would have figured it was fucking what's his name who wrote everything else. What was it? Damn it, we were just talking about this the other week. He wrote all the jingles. Who was it? Damn it, Sarah, get back up here and tell us. Give me a minute.
Nope, it was James Patterson. But then he quit his ad exec job and started writing commercial fiction.
No, it was like somebody way more famous.
I took his master class. He said it. I've heard it coming from his mouth.
Okay, well, hold on. I want to say, my God. Anyway, Shiva, what's good? Hold on. Are we on the Are we in the car? What's happening? Yeah.
He's in a fish tank.
No, I think he's left the car, but he's still on the Bluetooth in the car.
Is it hello?
Yeah.
Yes.
Hello? Yeah.
Very much so.
Okay, hello. Yeah. I said I was at the grocery store and then when I got
Barry Manilow. It's fucking Barry Manilow. Anyways.
Oh, there you go. What up, everybody? How are you? Good evening. I'm eating pancakes. Yeah.
Wait, you got home and made them already?
Yeah, they're microwavable ones. They only took 2 minutes.
Oh, these like the lean cuisine or whatever the style those are.
I don't know. They're good though. They're really good. So nice.
You sure about that?
I mean, they might kill me in 20 years. But who cares?
But you got to eat them before they cool down because then they get hard. Or that's
No.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I'm doing great over here.
Awesome. Thank you for stopping by. I'm glad you get to enjoy some pancakes.
It's good to see you.
Nothing like that.
It's sounding dry, Shiva. Did you put butter or syrup on those or no? You went straight for it. No.
There's too much syrup on the plated syrup, so all those kids that could probably have syrup somewhere don't have it because of me.
Was it Canadian?
It's Pearl Milling Company because they changed their name. GG. It's the only kind of syrup that I use. I don't use any other kind, to be
Who
honest.
changed their name? What were they?
Wasn't that the? I don't know if they had the same name.
Oh.
Is
it Aunt Jemima?
Aunt Jemima, yeah.
I love Aunt Jemima.
They have the. I don't know. I don't understand this because they still have Aunt Jemima on the bottom of the bottle. So I don't understand it. What the big deal is about, but it's delicious. I only have this syrup. That's the only syrup I go by. Unless like my grandmother makes like some syrup because she's bored one day, then maybe I'll try that. But
Heather, is this blasphemy or what?
blasphemy.
But yeah, of course it is.
Yeah. Now your mother has Canadian.
Can you see if they have any Badogos for sale in the mall while you're there?
No, I'm not shopping for next.
GG.
I'm not picking out underwear right now. If you have to know what I'm buying.
Oh damn.
Oh, what? Is it for you or for the kids? You got to be specific here, people. It might not be that hot. It might just be for the kids.
No, I'm totally in a lingerie store. It's for me.
Let's go. What store are we in?
Oh my
Out of
God.
control.
Is it Victoria's Secret?
Out of
Anyways,
control. I
we
love
have
it.
something
The
very
pure randomness of the choreographed storytelling
Wanted a
is just
story.
happening.
The story
I know.
was the
It was
story.
amazing. Well, no, the story was the whole thing. The Shiba's pancake adventure, Yamaza's daycare, all woven into a delicate tapestry held within the structure of this space. That has been
I'll
your
have the pieces to
intermission,
feet.
people. It starts by putting a little baby Grogu on your shoulder and get on your Mazda Vision. And then you get to talk to the beautiful freaks. Oh man, that was delightful. Up next, we have. I guess I'm just going to read some of the story, unless Michel would like to read some of his story, or
Did we lose Michel?
Yep,
he
you
might
bloviated
have.
him right out of here, Comfort. Well done.
Yep, it's okay. It happens.
I apologize if I had anything to do with that.
Absolutely not.
Let's blame Heather. Can we?
Damn green dots, out of control.
Well, I'm Canadian, so I'm just generally sorry.
A regular rebel rouser over here. Oh, sheesh. Well, I guess I could read. I could read this out a little bit. Give y'all a little break. Let y'all enjoy your pancakes.
Oh yeah.
Chew on the marrow of discussion. Hang back, roll one, drink one, take a deep breath. Whatever you gotta do. And yourself, your own comfort's couch. It's a whole groove of freaks in here. We do
Retweet
this
the room.
every Tuesday. Retweet the room. Yep. I'm not used to doing all this. I'm a lazy co-host. Early morning digital renaissance with you, Mazza and the freaks.
Oh, gee, but you drowned those.
We got a syrup update. Syrupy update.
I already finished them and I'm washing my dishes because I'm a responsible adult and I'm not going to do them later.
Boom, motherfucker. Boom. Exactly. You got to eat 3 frogs, people. Eat them
Yeah, and
first.
then it gets crusty. You gotta clean them when they're still nice and not crusty.
Easy cleanup because it saves you time in the long run. If you're trying to save time, that's why I got the new pans. They're like the good no stick. Supposedly they'll probably cause cancer in 20 years. Who knows? But for now, shit slides right the fuck off.
I'm about to go shopping for some lingerie now. I'm so full and happy.
10. I got 10 different ones, if you're wondering.
Underwear?
Yes.
The plot thickens, people.
Is there a sale on 10?
I don't know what Heather's on
There
with,
is.
what happened during the holidays, but you're extra spicy. I don't know what's going on here.
Eggnog right when you're walking in, so you stink
Oh, yeah.
extra when
Stink
you're rolling in.
extra loud. Oh, yeah.
Who are these idiots coming in all
You
stone
come
faced?
hot box in the car.
Yeah, nowadays it's all good. Back then, not all good.
Everybody looking at you crazy. Feel like Pigpen, I'm just a little cloud of soot, cannabis soot, ash. Probably got ash all over me.
What are you reading the people?
Oh yeah, I got distracted by you delightful freaks, as the Blue Vigo would have to say. This is the spunky diary entries for the past week, culminated into one orated experience, coming to you live from Comfort's couch.
Wait, but quickly, how did it end? What was the end last? How did it end last time? I forget.
Yep, him and Dumpy went out, and they found a little stuffed toy dinosaur, and he came back, and that's about it. But I can back it up for you. It's pretty short. This will do it better. You know what? This is what I'll do for you because of the holidays. Yeah, I'll just back it up. I'll read last week's entry and this week's entry. Since it is the holidays, limited bandwidth, we got short attention spans. Sometimes the audio doesn't come in clearly. Who the heck knows? But yeah, this is the tale of our main man Spunky as he traverses through the dump where he's been living for a second. He's been lonely. He's been distracted by a buzzing sound that ends up being a fly named Dumpy, and Dumpy accidentally farts in his mouth. That's all you need to know about that. Good morning, Willie. Took a few days. I think I've lost the taste of Dumpy's abysmal aroma. I've decided that if you couldn't beat him or eat him, you best join him. I've seen something shimmering out yonder. Dumpy and I are going on a mission the next day. Willie, got my knapsack, got my fried fly sandwich, my flying friend Dumpy, and you, old pal. I saw something, a flickering light far and away from my beloved junk hole. But I'm packed and ready to go out yonder and find that light. Day 3. I've been walking for a few hours now in this sweltering heat. But just imagine, maybe someone is signaling from far away, someone looking for a friend, maybe a friend like me. You got to find this lonesome lost soul, Willie, the following day. We've been trotting for quite a few hours, Willie. The sun's burning a darn hole in my little chameleon skull. Even Dumpy seems to have lost the will to fart, so that's saying something. No use turning back now. We've got to go on. Day 5. I saw it again, Willie. I'm closer now than ever before. It seems to be coming from the green strip of land closed in by the trees. Someone is signaling that oasis over there. Someone's waiting for little old me. Day 6. Well, it was the sun shining on this little pool of water, Willie. No one's here. It was just a reflection. It's not that I'm sad. I don't know. Weird thing is, I really think someone has been here. I found something. A kind of doll. Day 7. We're back home, Willie. Dumpy drank a full bucket of water. This doll I found at the oasis, it's like a big lizard, a dinosaur maybe. And it's missing a leg. Its imperfection is perfect. I'm going to give it a special place. It'll fit right in, right here with us wild ones. 1 week. Willie, there's something I keep remembering. Something from a long, long time back. From when I was living in my glass house. Nice peoples. I told you about them folks. They sure were nice. Day 2. Those peeps I was talking about, Willie, they did something once a year with a big tree with all kinds of glittering balls and a big star on top. I have no clue why, but I do remember that everyone was in the best of moods when that tree was up. They'd be singing jolly songs, and they gave each other presents. They even had socks hanging by the fire. Can you imagine having extremely hot feet when you wear them socks? Willie, those people were weird. Hee hee. Day 4. I can't shake the feeling. I also want to kind of have that tree and decorate it, Willie. It's some gut feeling, something warm and fuzzy during these cold winter nights. I sent Dumpy ahead to search for a tree that's just right. And I'm looking for lights. I gotta have this. Day 5. Christmas. That's what it's called, Willie. I remember now. I found me and Dumpy a great big old tree. A few brown spots because of Dumpy, but I don't mind. I'm in a festive mood, Willie. I'm going to look all over the junkyard to find ornaments and balls, stars, and lights. Day 6. This is going to be so nice, Willie. I've even found a big garden gnome that I can wear. Somehow that feels just right. I hung the lights, I hung the balls, I'm wearing my hat, and Dumpy just farted. That means that everything is ready for the lighting of the tree. Day 7. You know what, Willie? I'm considering you to be my best friend. This time of year, you can say such things out loud and not feel embarrassed. I want to wish you, Dumpy, and everyone who's out there a Merry, Merry Christmas. I'm going to throw the light switch. End of the read. What an epic fucking week of story. Let's motherfucking go.
Look down.
Sheesh, got me all up in my space.
Yee. Look at the ticker.
What's the ticker? What am I looking at? My
Yeah,
phone's Bobo, so you know I can't
No.
see.
You can't see your muscle vision?
No. Oh, where are we at?
the whole time. The moment I saw your eyes, I'm like, all right, let's fucking go.
That screen is so bright.
Oh, God.
I'm having to read from it.
We started watching the whole time. That was fantastic, though. Well done, sir.
Oh, yeah. That's a cold read of that last one. Not bad. Not bad at all, people. What a cool story. I love how it's just little by little it shapes its own way through. And if you just wait, each day a new entry comes available. You know, they're already at 3 for this week or however many it's lined up. So we'll have a fresh week of journal entry reading and story discussion next week. If anybody has a story they'd like to share, short or a piece of poetry or anything, we can definitely re-engage the cacophony of conversation that we all love and adore so well up here. So if you got something excellent that you want to contribute, please feel free to request the mic. If not, I'm probably going to read something that I've been working on or something from the Circumfusion novella. I'll let Yamaza decide. Just kidding. Not at all. Not at all. Especially after his last Yamaza Vision banner stunt. Tisk tisk. Yamaza. Tisk tisk. I want to switch that up. We'll do a little check-in, see who's with us. What we got? Shiba, pancakes good, dishes are done.
Yeah, I'm currently folding laundry and ready to get naked and take a shower because I feel like a dirty person walking around ShopRite for 2 hours.
Yep.
Yourself.
Yep. Get it done.
Try not to get the flu again, you know? Try to stay healthy.
100%, man.
Wash your fucking hands. Sorry. Wash your hands.
Wash your hands, people.
Yeah.
Do the row your boat thing, all right? Whatever you gotta do.
But somebody pour Ken some nice glass of milk or something. Warm it up for him because he's ready for bed. He's definitely ready for bed.
I see him down there. I see him winding down. Which chapter should I read randomly from the Circumfusion novel for y'all? What are we doing? What are we reading? Maybe is this the chapter on J-Ron's boat? I think this one we might be reading, folks. Might get a little J-Ron's boat action. It's not too long. Not too long at all. It is if you're down for it. Just kidding. This is Comfort's Storytelling Extravaganza. You know what you're here for. You're here for bloviation and storytelling. Story structure theory. Talking about metaphors, all sorts of shit that you probably don't talk about on a normal occasion, but it is important when navigating the frontier where we are interacting with artificial intelligence, and we need to discern the nature of our reality by having a stronger narrative structure and capable of inspiring creatives across the globe for the next 7 generations. This is chapter 38 from the sketchy novella Circumfusion. This was written by Serendipitous, myself, and many members of the beloved Sketchy Ice Book Club Hashlips community. This is chapter 38, and it reads, J-Ron gathered the public-facing crew members above deck. The last of the trash collection had been sifted and sorted and was already in the process of being recycled filaments for the onboard buoy printers. On the surface, the crew of the About Time was going through the rigors and procedures they always do before embarking on a new course, but below deck and away from prying eyes, the catamaran was silently transforming and preparing for its next mission. The catamaran started as a refurbished rig confiscated Victoria's Crypto Boy mining cartel. The previous owners had outboat with state-of-the-art machinery and pirate thwarting technology one would expect to find on a billionaire's plaything. However, after years of collaboration with the Sketchy Lab community, J-Ron had managed to equip the vessel with unbelievable, earth-saving accoutrements and innovations that would have never been seen before. The outer skin, folks observed, docked in the marina, hide a technological wonder that would have made the literary Captain Nemo's fictional boat, Nautilus, jealous. The navigation out of the marina and into open water was swift and flawless. The crew moved as one finely tuned and well-oiled machine, each playing its own role to perfection. The seasoned hands knew each and every piece of the boat by touch and were so in tune with one another that shared tasks were fluid and without friction. J-Ron stood at the captain's wheel and adjusted his sailor's hat and silk ascot before turning towards the crew. Ahoy! This is J-Ron speaking. Operation Pink Simian has commenced.
This is J-Ron speaking.
Thank you. I was waiting on it. I should have played the NFT. As above, so too below. We will be in the first wave reconnaissance mission exploring the sea while our counterparts scout the land. We have until sundown to glean as much intel as possible for the Ops Dev extraction team. Savvy? J-Ron saluted his crew. Set to 60 knots and prepare for the deep dive when we come within range. Tempest Foods. Once in open, protected waters, J-Ron uncovered a secret panel hidden in the teak parquet paneling. Smiling, the captain flipped a brass switch and slowly started to twist a series of ornaments and dials, all engraved with cryptic, otherworldly runes. Immediately, the About Time started to transform. The sails and masts collapsed in an accordion, origami-like fashion, out of sight as the helm sank into defensive posturing. A thin, matte black, ballistic-resistant membrane oozed like a mist and sealed over the entire deck. The lone tweet from an oddly shaped shell whistle summoned a contingent of outer dimensionals, lovingly named the Wandering Goblin Girls, who promptly set to work in a flurry of activity in maritime sea shanties. The nautical experts had happened upon a stream of consciousness within the technosocial wormholes and opted to stay and help J-Ron and his ocean cleaning mission. The tiny goblins were wickedly proficient and keenly aware of water vibrations in anything that traveled on currents. Over the years, Jayron and the girls had learned to transcend the boundaries of language by using musical cues to communicate. On occasion, the mischievous little imps would feign ignorance and parrot back rudimentary one or two word English fragments to poke fun at the crew members or unexpected visitors aboard the ship. The girls were primarily in charge of the type submersible scuttlebutts that Jayron often used to uncover sunken treasure, relics, or contraband lost at sea. Peering through binoculars at an island he had traveled past dozens of times over the last month, Jayron chuckled, or clucked his tongue. The GPS signal does not lie, but I'll be damned. There doesn't appear to be anything there at all. Employ low effort modality and drop anchor, lads. This is as far as the boat can go. Time for stealthy goblin mode, methinks. Night, ladies. A burly shark tattooed sailor call sign Hella approached Jayron with a hurried sense of purpose. Captain, the Murgles detected trace fluctuations of a holographic curtain at 3 clicks. I sent out the Shook Shark scanners to confirm, and they are dead on contact, sir. I attempt to make contact with the sketchy command, and it was negative. They're jamming our comms and are aware of our presence. May I suggest we stay active topside and keep the watchers occupied. Recon 2 above team should be hitting the beach shortly. We can be excellent distraction while our scouts are tagging interesting things for the extraction team to see. Hella had a glint in his eyes. There were many new tools on the boat that had yet to be ordered and tried during live fire exercises, and the entire crew, not just Hella, was anxious to void the warranties. Jayron watched the team of Wanda and Goblin girls already entering the slide and sliding into the piloting pods and for scuttlebutt deployment. His heart swelled as their unrelenting courage and willingness to serve humanity without being asked. Be careful out there. This is a look, don't touch type of mission, girls, Jayron sighed. No shinies, no treasure, no picking up stuff. Find the exploits. Figure out the safe passage. Where do we need to go? We're up against some nefarious buggers, and I don't want to lose any of you. If you're caught, they will harm you in unimaginable ways. He drew back a salty tear as the submersible doors sealed shut. Launching sequence started its countdown. Hella tapped Monkey Zoo on the shoulder as the two initiated the 2 SIG key launch. Hella smiled at the chia plant sprout Monkey Zoo kept in a tiny vase attached to the side of his monitor. Well, I'll be. You just can't help farming, even surrounded by open seas, can you? Monkey Zoo unapologetically and pushed the button to torpedo the scuttlebutts towards their targets. Godspeed, little ones, the good captain whispered as he took off the prestige of his cap and placed it over his heart. Godspeed. UNB's was sitting in the corner of the old school tin can, headphones on. As a sketchy ape crew member, he spent much of his time behind the scenes, scraping data and keeping a low profile. Sir, the girls have broken through the veil. We're circumnavigating their digital fences and reestablishing channels directly with the scuttlebutts using the girls' aquatic telepathy and echolocation. Stand by for visuals in 5, 4, 3, 2. And that's all I'm giving you, freaks. That's all you get. I'm not gonna tell you what it shows and just lead you up and drop you down. Showbiz, folks. Just anywho, y'all been great sports. Thank you for listening to my mispronunciation as I stumble along that lucid array of text. Pick you up a copy, download it for free. Save me, Yamaza. Save me from myself.
You put Dee to sleep. Look at her.
Is she purring? Oh,
No,
yep.
she's literally like she doesn't usually lay like this on the chair. She's literally doing her like flat. She's just ready for bed.
Knock her out.
You did it.
Oh my God, there's so many names in there.
This was
Jayron's transforming boat. Oh man.
The open sea.
Very punny. You gotta use all the literary
punny.
You gotta use all the literary devices, you must. It's a game, like a game, but it's with words. You just gotta keep the reader engaged to the last page. Yup. What are we doing?
We're putting shit in your nest.
I
was told by Sheba if I'm a speaker and I have an IO thing, I can put anything I want in the nest.
What?
Just kidding. Guys, look up. This is her. She's loving life, bro. She's having a good freaking time. Like, is that not comfortable on the couch? Well, it's my leg.
You can't get more comfortable on the couch than a cat being cozy.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. Nope. Cat purring on the couch. That's first class cozy and comfiness.
All right, what else you got for us? The people are moving it.
Oh, I got stuff. I got stuff. I got plenty of stuff.
Oh my god, you see
You only got one man jam band up here. What's going on?
You see LTO?
Where's he at?
What's
Where's he
going
at?
on?
Mm,
Look at him.
look at him. Look at him good. Just look at him down there.
Just look at it.
Just look at it.
Exactly.
Too funny. Okay. I'm pulling this up right now. I just have all these tabs. We're going to the publishing folder, and then we're going over to an excerpt from dude, I'll give y'all an excerpt from book one. I don't know where though. I don't have any Christmas themed stuff, I don't think.
Christmas is over unless you're in the Netherlands, and apparently it's Christmas number 2 today.
I love that. Can we please adopt that tradition? Like I want 25 days of Christmas.
I think HP's just about had enough of it.
There is a Christmas quota. Yes. Hey, you can have a Christmas quota, you know. That's okay. Everybody's got their limit, like a little baby.
HP also fell asleep. Oh no, there he goes. Like I have not seen a single bit of him. Nope, there we are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think he's almost back.
Was he doing Padel?
No, I think he's just relaxing on the couch. It's 11:30 here. I think.
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah. Bullshit. You know, last night he's like all coming at me at midnight, like, "Hey, you want to play FIFA?" I'm like, "FIFA, dude. I'm playing bet." Bet. Anyways, by the way, I won that poker game. I totally forgot that. Remember, it was for Doc Z's Nagamigo. Look at that. I own it. Wow.
Okay.
Am I the Hamburglar? Look at it. I own it. Nagamigo. Oh, no, excuse me. It's a dead Migo. Excuse me. Not Nagamigo. I got a dead Migo inspired by Nagamigos. Number 1795. Look at it. Looks like a real douche. I love it. He goes, well, that's weird now. Hysterical. JP's like, the clowns are back. I'm like, he goes, no. I go, books? He goes, no. He goes, sorry.
Golly.
He goes,
Gotcha.
I go, book? He goes, no. He goes, the clowns. I go, the project? I go, do you mean Turbo? and Greyway? He's like, yeah. They're back apparently. Maybe I can sell some of those ones. I like those 50 of them I got.
You have 50.
No.
You got a 50 piece.
No, I do have a bunch of them though. They were basically free. Plus, like,
Yeah.
that was when Pixelated was minting. Because I remember they would come around. Now it makes sense, right? Because it was fucking Greyway coming to hang out in the Pixelated, and then Greyway would message me from the clown account and send me clowns to give away for people minting Pixelated, right?
You're out of control.
They were minting and then giving away Pixelated to people. Like, dude, they were actually, yeah. But now that I know it's Greyway, I'm like, all right, it makes sense because you know it's good people are behind it. But yeah, they were all over Sammy's thing, and they kept minting. Sammy's like, I don't know, they keep minting my stuff and giving it away for people minting clowns, and I was like, all right, fantastic. But as it turns out, yeah, what were their names? It was FOMO, Bozo, Jester, right?
Yeah,
Jester was
their big top parade or something.
Yeah, I just type in Jester into my message. I go, yeah, it makes sense. I like Jester the most. It's wrote the great way when he told me.
That was troll. No, I got a chapter for y'all. Chapter 7 called "Two Bridges Too Many."
7's a good number.
Yeah. I don't want to go too far ahead for you, but I mean, the likelihood of anybody remembering what they hear tonight is going to be slim tonight.
All right.
Which was what you read.
Remember that, sir.
There we go. All right, here we go.
I'm gonna remember that you said that. No, we're ready.
Mark it down, making notes. Yep, it's exactly where he was being a schnitzel. Let the record hold. This chapter 7 from my almost published work, 60 frames per second, Cyberdelic Odyssey, book 1, Innocence. The opening quote from Nietzsche goes, "What is great in man? That he is a bridge and not a goal." This is two bridges too many. Mission briefing. An alarm chimes. I've gathered all the materials on Coffin Island and have forwarded the links to your inbox, a British accent says. He minimizes the Mind Palace to the background and inhales an aromatic lungful of gelato kush to ensure nanite synapses hold proportionate dominion over neural architectures. All right, let's see where we're going. He spins one side of the cherry into the no-smell ashtray and selects the flashing icon in the top right corner of his vision. The seat intuitively shifts to an upright position as the Taka HUD renders a lively landscape of situational awareness, historical significances, weather stats, and tide charts, highlighting the 18 bars and restaurants in the area. Is this a joke? Am I going on vacation? Why would they send me here? It is the original headquarters of the First Globals Foundation. Would you like me to attach those documents to your dossier? X asks. Never mind that. We'll review once we get closer. Let me finish this medicine. Zero's up to something, he thinks to himself. I should have already been dropped in. Agent F scans for tails and any other suspicious activity. The next car over, packed to the gills for spring break, children explore joyful realms of uncharted, imaginable space. Frogs sip their tea, and young explorers blast Captain Kepler to smithereens with a special moon-based edition of Space Force 12's wrist-mounted laser blasters. Buy now while supplies last. Enjoy it while you can, little ones, Agent Zeph says, then lifts the joint from the ashtray, hoping to dispel the angst beneath his breast, and takes a toke. Just then, 2 inches above the dash, he catches a hostile glare from a mixed set of blue-green eyes, reflecting from the side mirror of an adjacent Freightliner E700 step van, converted into food truck, with a manga-esque flying squirrel serving crepes, paint job. In a pause of a mere millisecond, a stagnant exchange of intent survives. Is he looking at me? Zeph thinks to himself. Did the Oro system glitch again? He asks. It was working fine earlier. It might be the Mind Palace. Was it Johnny Who's people? Did the agency find out? I bet Zero sent them. Pull yourself together, man. You're almost home free. He made plenty of enemies who lusted for his suffering and demise. In some aspects, he knew he deserved it, but not before satisfying his zeal for vengeance. The mixed pair of eyes turns away from the side mirror and disappears back into the back of the van. As the uneasiness hangs amidst the climbing hum of humidity, Agent Zeph makes a mental note, calculating potential points of contact with the van for later reference. Before long, he dismisses the tyranny of fear-based logic, uncertainty, and doubt. Must be the update. He takes another hit. I gotta calm down, he thinks to himself. X, are you there? He asks, summoning the operating system from the vehicle's multi-layered, hyper-threaded cores. Yes, of course, X says. Where else would I be? Never mind that. Patch through a work order to the boys and girls at the pickle factory. Kindly tell them to get off their asses and put some of that well-lobbied money to work. I need them to run remote diagnostics on the Oro system. A light chirp passes through the cabin. Message sent, X informs him. Idly waiting, Agent Zeph takes another puff to further calm his nerves. Almost there. I just gotta get to Anna, he thinks to himself. The final tips of the yacht slow skim under the railing of the bridge's terrace, above the sound of a private jet skirts across the sky. His line of sight tracks their movements until a pop-up menu expands with a brochure for the sanctuary, the heaven wealthy and powerful, far away from the unwashed masses and the refuse of useless things. Once safely past, the bridge's bells signal rotating gears, and cogs of sprockets guide the infrastructure with steampunkish reluctance, slowly lowering the pendulum of asphalt and rebar. The level crossings raise their arms, and the bridge wobbles from the start of the motorcade's procession. By one, the traffic crosses the cleft caused by the river and heads towards 2 enormous ivory towers, signaling the last stretch of the mainland suspension bridge. Every day, people oblige the bridge's majesty to help them cross over the expanse of rushing salt water. Agent Zeph marvels at the architecture coming into view. As he focuses on its design, the Taco HUD generates another translucent pop-up window with relevant metrics on the cable-stayed suspension bridge and highlights its 2 diamond-shaped towers. Closer, the folded fan hastily unfurls into the 3rd longest structure of its class. Woven metal spindles create 128 delicately drooping tension wires running from the towers to the deck, each piece a proper proportion to the relational whole. During this point in the morning, the sun echoes the water's hues onto the base of the bridge. In the distance, beyond seabird silhouettes, nautical vessels scoot towards the horizon. He notices a peculiar alignment of coincidence, synchronicity, and universal rascality. Several vehicles ahead of him. One is a black sport utility vehicle with the name Shelby stenciled in elegant lettering behind them. A man spits some tobacco juice out a driver's side window of his jacked up truck with a license plate reading Shelby, Tennessee. Behind him, a red Shelby Mustang cruises for better position. None of the others seem to notice the curious coincidence, caught within the imaginal confines of their automobiles to-do lists and late arrivals to early appointments. However, for Special Agent Zeph, such instances were luminescent breadcrumbs hinting at something more. Mercenaries. A brisk wind cuts along the flowing contours of the roadster's frame as X cruises up the enormous ivory suspension bridge. The crate van comes back into view, and so do those mixed blue-green eyes appearing in the passenger window, casting an ill-fated stare across the revving sports cars, smogging transport trucks, combustion hotheads, littering assholes, and roving families on the daily commute. Without a thought, Agent Zeph's cool hand slips over the metallic edges of a special-issue Delta 9 firearm. An eternity passes within a few controlled breaths. The van chugs under the southern sun. A trail of coolant drips from its tailpipe and dissolves into molested cracks within the crooked pavement. 9 pelicans swoop past, riveting across the hooded horizon. What are you up to? Agent Zeph asks, feeling the weight of his weapon. Something is off. The proper stint of calculated paranoia unearths a dossier from the vaults of his mind palace. It's not one of ours. Someone wants the tech. The Chinese, the Russians, the radical rights, the fundamental lefts. Who? The van shuffles about on its axles. He looks at the passenger side mirror and pulling something from behind a stack of boxes. To his surprise, confirming his paranoia through the reflection, he identifies the tail end of a Russian-made anti-tank grenade launcher. Linked with the Aura system, X engages the vehicle's multi-directional drift threads as the side panel door of the van slams open. The rogue assailant steadies himself against some grease-stained boxes, locks onto X, and pulls the trigger. At once, a spiraling dragon spun darkness and, roaring into the light of day, emerges onto the backdrop of Peninsula City's harbor. Evasive action. X predicts the impact and adjusts the vehicle's orientation to minimize collateral damage. The rear end whips into another motorist, distracted by their cell phone's technosocial wormholes. The RPG cracks into one of the suspension cable's anchors, sending a shiver all the way up the side of one of those ivory towers. Who the fuck does that? Agent Zeph growls at the insult of having a rocket-propelled grenade fired at him so early in the morning. X, be a dear and lend me some juice. Tactical drift protocols disengage as X surrenders control. You are free to create space. The program's calm, calculated British voice resonates throughout the vehicle's interior. Agent Zeph grabs the steering wheel. A cyan glow traces throughout the cabin as he zigzags after the mercenaries. The van speeds up, missing their first opportunity to strike, and veers into the bike lane. But unable to outrun X's state-of-the-art design, they quickly swerve back into traffic with juggernaut efficiency. Wham! An old hoopty hits a VW Bug, causing the traffic to thin. Agent Zeph catches back up. X, load explosive rounds for me, he says. From the back of the crate van, a manga-esque flying squirrel caricature waves onto the windshield. The bottom of the metal roll-up door unlatches, not wanting to give them another shot. Agent Zeph veers to the starboard side and pins the roadster's left fender into the van. The food truck almost hits the guardrail, but regains control. Agent Zeph drops behind them to avoid being swiped, and as the chase continues up the spans of the bridge, once again, those mixed blue-green eyes appear from behind the slot of a crusty glass. Within the squirrel smile. This guy, who the fuck does he think he's messing with? Agent Zeph snarls and retrieves the Delta 9 from the car's holster as the tempo from his playlist increases. Up the incline, the van slows, almost touching the roadster's bumper. Click, the metal door rolls up, slams to the top to reveal the prestige of the gunman's malice. Next to the grease-stained boxes, Ma Deuce's Mountie 50 caliber barrel aims at X's windshield. The Oro system releases a shot of time warp into his bloodstream, slowing down the world around him. The fine details of the M2's gleaming muzzle reveal themselves as the first bullets flash from the belt-fed chamber. The rounds sink into the roadster's windshield. Each one shakes the vehicle, inhibited by the resistant forces of self-generative nano-stitch polymers. One round slides off, taking the driver's side mirror with it, and bounces into the concrete railing of the skeletal suspension bridge. Another one carves out a chunk of the self-repairing tire. Click, click. The overheated barrel sizzles. Amateur. Should have paid for the extra upgrade. Agent F takes aim. The first shot tosses the gunman to the side, leaving fragments and crumbs of his skull on tall stacks of grease-soaked crate boxes. The second one bursts through the driver's shoulder and explodes his heart with the shockwaves of vibratory transgression. A rosy fountain spatters across the smoke-stained windshield. His dead weight leans on the gas and sends the food truck into the guardrail. As it ricochets, the driver's body slides to the floorboard, turning the steering wheel towards a car of spring breakers. Agent S speeds to the side of the runaway vehicle and fires. His third shot, intended to disable the tire, misses, and in a moment that's too short to label, the van hits the roadster. Agent Z's head slams to the side as they crush through a selection of the walk path, in need of desperate repair, but lacking the budget to do so. Disoriented, Agent Zeph applies the brakes. The momentum of the moment sends both vehicles off the side of the suspension bridge, waters them. And, like the swooping branches of moss-hung willows and the grand oak archways of backwoods roads, the roadster and the crate van plummet into the wavy reflections of their falling approach. X sends an SOS ping to the agency while implementing life support systems. The interior flickers as X attempts to back its data into the safety of the Aura system's DNA archives. However, through an alignment of unfortunate events, discrepancies in the latest patch code, and the Mind Palace running in the background, X downloads the trove of its data into the Mind Palace VPN partition instead, and with it, Zeph's consciousness. Yep.
Yes, I'm going back like I don't know how many words, but that's I told you. Your mother's listening, right? He's gonna fucking remember.
Yes.
All sorts of ridiculous shit you just said. I heard many of words dropped in there that may or may not have made sense in reality, but they do make sense to me, so I love it.
It is a cacophony of ideas, a cyclone of unorthodox ideas designed to rip you from your cognitive canvas, according to Tom Robbins. At least that's what I strive for. Just to let it fly, let the words fly. But that's a little bit. That was only 1,900 words, people. You did excellently.
With the shit.
You just had to listen. Just vibe out. Smoke one, drink one. This is Comfort's Couch. Come chill, put your feet up. You know,
exactly. You don't gotta
we're just Ohana.
Get your drinks out.
We're
Get
just
your
Ohana
smokes
here.
out. You know, get the thing.
I was getting dry though on that read. You probably heard it in my voice. I was getting like raspy.
Where's your water,
all
bro?
the way down.
Where's the water?
I drank it all. It's raining, but it's all ice now.
Oh. Where's your? Just kidding. No, you're not looking up. We're doing another commercial.
Oh no, I closed at 3 out. There we go.
That's the Wandering Sailors. Yes, the water bottle. Yes, very smart.
Nice one. Now, does it tell you how much you drank today? You can track.
If I
What's the story of Yamaza's hydration?
The story is he does not charge his devices, right? Very annoying. This thing, you got to charge his devices all the time. I don't like that. It's got to charge itself, people. What's going on here?
Right? Like maybe it powers itself one day when you go to drink it.
Yeah, like
you know, you tip it and it has a counterbalance weight, and the counterbalance weight creates a little charge.
Which is wireless charging, right? We're moving towards the USB-C standard protocol. Let's go to the wireless and everything. Next protocol. Thank you.
Yeah, you just sit it on top of the thing. Boom. Radiant charging.
Yeah, I mean, if we would have let Tesla do his thing, we'd have way cooler charging. But
don't get us shut down. Just getting booted up.
What do you mean? Name of the place is called Tesla. It's Elon. By the way, did you see one of those robots mauled somebody? Jesus.
Were you reading that to me?
Oh yeah, it was. My bad.
Holy moly.
Well, it wasn't the robot, like whatever they're calling that. It wasn't like the robot.
Was caught in the
it was the
production.
robot on the production line of the car, grabbed an employee, thought it was a car part, and did its thing.
Wouldn't have happened if AI was in charge.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Spunky?
Too soon. Too soon for this fucking tragedy.
I wanted to ask you some questions, Comfort.
Let's go, brother.
To bring it a bit back to the storytelling and not all the details of the answer. Not charging his devices and stuff, but where do you get your inspiration from for the book that you're writing?
Everywhere. It started really small, with just because it originally started as a children's tale, which I kept in the story just to codify it. It was a children's tale I wrote called Folly Tales, and it's about a black and white, like tuxedo colored cat that wakes up on a beach, not knowing who he is, and he goes on this quest for this this heart-shaped jewel at the edge of the island. And that story came from an old like Zen story I heard at one time, cobbled together with all the other stories I've and a lot of the philosophies that I've heard as well. But for the story itself, for the last 7 years, it's kind of unfurled and started telling itself on its own after the original 30,000 word outline was created that I thought was a novel. You know, I was like, no, there's 30,000 words. This is it. It's been very interesting, but also very taxing because you don't know when it's going to stop. Or well, I do know when it's going to stop, at least in 9 books. You know, I'm like, all right, you beast, you can grow to the confines of 9 books if you will. If you won't, that's fine. But I draw it from everywhere. Every story that pings my interest. When I was a child reading or watching a movie, I would always identify with some aspect of the character or something in the plot. And nowadays, I use that as an luminescent breadcrumb. So I'll kind of take that little bit and then I'll chew on it and think about it and figure out how that fits in telling this piece of the puzzle. Like the wheel of samsara that the world emperor uses to reset the world. That whole idea is an old Hindu concept about the wheel of samsara. I've taken all of those types of philosophies and hopefully kind of brought them into life in a very fun-filled way. I've got a lot of conspiracy theory stuff woven into there as well. We're gonna get to the hollow earth, right? We're gonna figure out what's going on with this hollow earth theory through fiction, and what's going on. But I take it from everywhere, to be honest. And you can tell it in the writing, especially when I'm talking about real things, like being at the beach, you know, witnessing a baby turtle being born, the last baby turtle being born, and seeing it waddle into the ocean, you know, and being around the people and the freaks. And that's like where for me, that's what this was like built on. It was built on the freaks. And then the sci-fi aspect just came later as I had to describe how he got to this island and what that means dramatically as an imposing threat, and then just scale it uh, as big as I can with whatever logically fits for the story, because you definitely don't want Neil deGrasse Tyson debunking your story. You know, like Neil deGrasse Tyson, I was totally wrong about the Oort cloud. You know, it's a roundabout answer, but that's like I said, I draw the inspiration from everywhere. I grew up with a vivid imagination, playing with toys in the backyard.
Yeah, you mentioned that earlier. For me, I'm not a writer, right? And I'm also not, my native language is not English, so it is sometimes a bit harder to follow because the way you describe things with not so common words, as Yamazumi mentioned as well here. Some words that he even found very creative in a way, I guess. But it gives me a bit of a Quintino vibe, right? That where he as a movie maker pays a ridiculous amount of detail within his movies to describe very simple things sometimes. Is that also something that you want to achieve with your storytelling? So some sort of a style in the way. So I hear that the philosophy part is big, right, in your storytelling. Is that something you persuade?
Yeah, because one of the tenets is to, you know, is to get the reader to remind the reader of how to see the moon in the mud puddle. And one of the cool things about this spy that has this experimental nanotech in him, that releases trace amounts of DMT in his everyday experience, means that I get to go beyond the surface level description of things from time to time based on the logical proof of the story. You know, if a human has this amount of DMT, this trace amount of neurochemical cocktail in their system, you know, what does it look like when they take the trash out and it busts open and the garbage is filled with, you know, maggots with rubied eyes, and then those rubied eyes are Buddhas with skulls around their necks, with rubied eyes, with Buddhas with more skulls, and you get to take the reader on this transcendental, you know, beatific experience, because the logical proof is there, and that's like the detail that I really love to break through to. When I describe the sand, it's not just sand. It's like crustacean corpses, and being able to talk about the microcosm of holes within the sand lit holes within shells, and echo the Aristotelian virtue of turtles all the way down, and hooking people on that cyberdelic odyssey, as the title kind of gets to imply. You might as well, what you got? You going away? What are you doing?
Yes, but also, I know I heard the spunky DJ saying that he's not a writer, but I mean, you are a comedian though, no?
Not that I know of.
I thought
No, might as well.
I asked Comfort.
I make you laugh.
Comfort agrees with me.
No. We're not going that way.
Okay, fine.
No, definitely not.
All right.
Okay, I got co-host power. You know, some people.
All right, I'm just saying.
And
Funny guy.
great question though, DJ.
But Comfort, then a follow-up question apart. What would you advise people that are going to begin with their story writing adventures? Right? What would be a good way to start? How would you make start of a story? Would you advise them to keep it short? Would you advise them to do some research on the details that you want to go through, or could you take us a bit down that road?
Yeah, for sure. I prefer to start off with an outline, because I did the pantser first, and it required me to do 7 years worth of rewriting to fix all the different structural stuff as my mind was just cobbling it together. So I really enjoy the outline, that lets you kind of fractally grow your story like a snowflake or a crystal or something, where you can see the intro and you can just work on the intro, and you can see the different parts and not be overwhelmed by the writing process. Faulkner says that writing a novel is like building a hen house in a hurricane. And for the writer, you want to be inspired to just do a little bit each day. And I think that having that line gives you a plan, and you have a goal, which is to finish that story, and just be okay by just getting it down, filling it out. Like Sarah mentioned earlier, you just get that down the outline, and then you can get it kneaded together and pull different aspects and revise it and take it apart and put it back together. But be okay with that whole process. When they say kill your darlings, you gotta be okay with killing your darlings. It's not just your characters, but it's your sentences. It's really your words. It's not even your characters. Um, because you do have to edit and reduce so much and redact it. But it's in that constraint that you really get to allow the message to shine. And that comes from some very basic first principles of just having, that dedicated practice. And for me, having the plan of an outline of a scaffolding allows me to fulfill the goal of a dedicated practice and do that little by little each day. That way it ends up to all at once. So that you're not bogged down by the process, and you can continue to have fun with it. Because if you're not a writer, like if you're not a writer with a pen and pad, you can't tell a story. If you've forgotten how to tell a story, it's a perfect time to start. But if it's not fun for you, then figure out what makes you come alive and go do that, because that's what the world needs, is more of us who have come alive. But with the advent of AI, it's like almost anybody can become a storyteller. And with blockchain, you can get it stamped and notarized, perma-web distributed. We're on the cusp of that. They've been saying we've been early for 2 years, and scraping money and altcoin coin flipping is good, it's fine and dandy. It gives us time to bring more creatives online. I just hope that it's a more suitable, fitable environment for the tender souls of our most creative minds. But, just write every day. You have, realistically, you have 15 minutes of writing time. You have a timer for 15 minutes, and you just set it and you just go and write about whatever you want. Journaling is an excellent thing. I started my whole practice with commonplace books, which are just a notebook. I have a whole stack still of these things, just little tiny memo pads, and you jot down ideas all day, every day, quotes, conversations, weird doodles. You just jot it all down. And I have like 18 of them now from my like first 7 years of living on the beach, and transcribed half of them, but all of them serve as direct correlates of inspiration for my work at large. There's like Captain Blackstrap Molasses, Alfredo Wellness. There's a whole like pirate bar. Anyway, whole bunch of stuff going on, but all stuff I drew from my environment, and my love of wanting to kind of convey how to love where one is, if they have the ability to do so. But we got Sarah back up too. What up?
Yeah, I was just going to mention copybooks in general. For those that are not familiar, keeping like I don't know, we keep like an engineering notebook of sorts, but making sure to have an index in the front when you're setting up the smash book, and we use that term in the art industry. It's basically, random snippets and everything that you see. But the key is to have the first couple pages of your notebook as an X. You get a brand new notebook, which I don't know if you saw my Twitter stream or X stream recently, but I always have a brand new notebook for each project. And so the one for Monkey Zoo, for instance, is a green notebook. And the very first thing that you do is you number every single page. And then those first 3 or 4 pages are an index. So when you're writing on page 1, for instance, you say, well, here's the topic or key, hashtags or whatever, so that you can look through the index and see those little bits and pieces to your copybook and understand how they all fit together. Another system for writers, if you're in an analog way, would be the Zettelkasten. So it's like little scraps of paper that you actually put in a file card foil, like an index card. Kind of collector, for lack of a better card, and you can have those little bits and pieces. But if you really want to have, like, say, a digital system where you're not using a commonplace book, Obsidian is a wonderful piece of software. They have an account here on X also that allows you to create these spidering mind maps, when you're creating a story. And so, it's really funny because when Comfort and I worked on the novella, he had this general outline of a story that he was envisioning kind of before sifting through all the pieces. He had a different kind of thought process, a scaffold, right? And then sometimes your story just emerges, it just kind of leads you as opposed to the other way around when you hear characters' voices in your head. And it's not a crazy way, but sometimes it actually is. I mean, there are times when you're writing a story where you really are outside of yourself. You are kind of channeling this person or this character that is not you, right? And to be able to be authentic, you kind of have to be a plausible lie. Writing story or fiction is probably the hardest thing to do because your lies have to make sense and they have to, pass the sniff test of the humans, because the minute that the human sees something or hears something or senses something is not quite off, it's that moment in Inception where the little twist top falls, whole lie kind of collapses in front of you, because it's the one friction point that pulls you out of the sea and jostles you back into the real world, and you lose that moment of immersive world building. So that's one of the things when Comfort's reading his story about Zeph, and you have this kind of detective, you can hear and see and smell the environment around you, and you're filling in those blanks in your head because you're a part of that story. You are collaborating and co-creating with the author. That's the hardest part, is that as an author or writer, when you write your story and you set it out free in the wild, it's no longer your story, because you don't know how other people are going to interact with your characters and world building, and how they're going to create and manifest their own storylines kind of around yours. How many people have read, like, Lord of the Rings, for instance, and you start thinking about what Hobbiton looks like, before the movies. What did Hobbiton look like? What were the Ents? How did they act? How did they look? How big were they? And you kind of fill in the blanks in your head because they've given you just enough adjective, just enough detail to kind of get this scaffolding in your head. But that's what makes humans so crazy amazing, is that you don't know how they're going to read it. And especially in places like this with us here in social audio, where we're talking amongst each other and we all don't have the same first language, right? We don't have the same colloquialisms and turn of phrase that you would have, here we say knock on wood. And then Daniel would say, no, it's touch wood. And I'm like, what are you touching wood for? And, oh, you mean knock on wood, so you're not going to, have something bad happen to you. It's kind of one of those in translation kind of things. But when you add other layers to your story, your pictures, the illustrations, when we're looking about Spunky and he's in this, garbage dump, we're seeing the page of his diary, but what are all the words that didn't make the page? Because you only have a piece of paper that's at 9 by 11, right? And you only have enough ink for a certain part of the story. What did he leave out? He's talking about this bug, but what else was there that was kind of distracting him? And those are the kinds of things that pull us in and draw us into the characters and make you want to continue. So, it's just one of those things when you ask, well, what inspires you? And listening to Comfort, you can't turn your head off. Comfort can't turn his head off. He lives in this world of superheroes and Marvel critters and all of these wonderful, technosocial wormholes, and, capturing those ideas as they flip by. Sometimes all you can do is just, slam a piece of paper in a blank journal and hope that it sticks, because you want to remember all those details and capture them before they whisk away like a fart in the wind, as they say.
Yeah, that's total memento moments. I need a pen. I need a pen. I need a pen. Just like my kingdom for a pen. I'll die with a pen in my hand, but not too soon. This is our amazing super secret guest, Michel. Oh my God, talking with fucking the author from the spot. I hate we lost him. Holy moly. Dude, Spunky, what you got to say, man? What you got? What's going on, Degen?
Yeah, I really think the beginning of the space is really something I will listen back again, because it was a very strong start, Michel, indeed. And I also loved the way you questioned him where to get in the zone. I do have another question for you, and maybe also
Yeah.
to Sarah, as you are both writers. How
Yeah.
would you set up yourself some sort of a feedback panel? Do you use a feedback panel so when you wrote a story that you're gonna check your story, or how do you process the feedback that you get along the way because you want to keep your own authenticity right within your writing skills? How do you do that?
I can jump in. I have a beta test group.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I have a core group of women, and it depends. They're men too, but it depends on which genre writing. So if it is a nonfiction book, so usually something with craft, right? Whether it's, art materials or any of the number of things that I've participated in over the years, those kinds of things, you'll have a beta test for a nonfiction book. Actually do your projects. They read your directions, they follow your directions, they do your project. And that's where we kind of find and suss out problems. That's actually why my Twitter account or my X account was created in the first place, is to be able to suss out those articles and things that if we wrote for, let's say, Make Magazine or Craft Magazine, if we're building a circuit board, or if we're working on this, that, and the other thing, how did we hero those projects out? How did we break them into pieces and make sure that they hear it? And especially technical projects, because you don't want people electrocuted, or, they, don't know how to use a soldering iron, or, they impale themselves with the, sewing machine or whatever it is that they do. So you have to be really kind of cognizant of that. Now, you would have the same kind of beta group if you had a fiction, right? So you have a couple different folks, core group. You're not seeking out the masses, right? And that's why the beauty of Web3 and the digital overlay is here, is because you could actually have your key core group of people all have a token gate, right? That you create just for them. For Circumfusion, we did have beta testers, and they did have their own medallion in order to add their input to the manuscript. So you have that ability. Leonidas only had his 300. Jesus only had his 12. You don't need a huge group, but you need people that are not going to, blow smoke up your skirt and always tell you this is great and wonderful. You want folks that really understand the genre. So if it's a romance novel, have people that have read romance novels. If you have a mystery, pick those people, because, you want to make sure that you have the group that's tailored to the genre that you are doing, first and foremost. And then you want people that are authentic and honest in their feedback if they didn't understand the story, or if something was wonky. And, then you can kind of pick it apart. But ultimately, if you went a legacy route, right? Legacy route, I would write a manuscript, I hand it off to my editor, and then I have no say after that. How they change it, it's not my voice, sucks to be me. And it can hurt, because the traditional legacy media is designed to create content that will sell well, and sometimes that means that things get left out on the edit floor, and that goes for movies also, and it can break the creative's heart and spirit, and what's at end, we don't have any control over, and sometimes you just have to get over that. But now, because we have a Web3, a digital overlay with the ability to notarize and add provenance and tell the story we want to tell, there's a lot of other intricacies that you can add. You can have embedded NFTs with music. You can have, interpretive dance if you want. You can embed your stories with interaction that could not exist before this moment in the timeline of history. So you ask yourself, okay, I want to reward my readers. Well, let's say you write your manuscript and then you have the folks that are proofread. You could actually put them into the contract and give them a little kickback for their time and effort. So it gives them incentive to make sure that the best story comes forward, right? And then when it gets published, then you have all of these ways to value the folks that have added to your project. Now, whether people do that or not is a question of the day, because, it's going to take a big person to say, yeah, you know what, I didn't get here on my own and I'm not going to keep all the profits, right? We can talk about it blue in the face, but unless you decide to do that and put it in that smart contract to begin with, then it's not going to happen. And those people aren't going to get paid. But you do have that ability to do that now. So, your proofreaders are the people that should help you the most. They should be the iron that sharpens iron and make sure that you are putting the best piece out forward, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes totally sense. Absolutely. Thanks for you're such a nice person to explain these kind of things, right? You have that talent.
Sarah pretty much nailed it right on the head. Because if you don't have the correct beta readers, they're not going to be able to give you the essential feedback. They're going to drag their heels on reading potentially, and then it's just a whole process, and you want it to be there so that you're getting the best story out there, so that you're able to see the back of your head, so to speak, and trust that what's being said isn't going to kind of derail the logic of your story. But that's in like an extreme case scenario, where one would put too much trust into the other. But no need to go all Epictetean on y'all yet. Sarah, what's going on?
Well, the other thing too is, not all. We always say, yeah, everybody has a story to tell. Okay, but it's also the proverbial bathing suit. Just because it fits doesn't mean you should wear it in public, right? And there are some stories that I've written, they hurt too, man. Where you get to the very end and then you look at it and go, "This is absolute crap," and then you toss it into the campfire. But you look at it and you say, wow, I needed to actually go through the process of doing this. And the reason why I had to go through that process is because now I understand better what kind of story I'm capable of telling and what genre I belong in, right? I'll give you, for instance, I had to write a book. Every nano, I write a book. And the kids, they choose the genre. And it's hard because there are some genres that I just don't thrive in. Like, the horror fiction, blood and guts, those kinds of stories. I can write them like no tomorrow, but I don't like being there because the way that I'm wired, I'm a very empathetic person. So those stories stick with me, and they really are things that I don't really want to revisit. But, it tells you after you've gone through that process, hey, you know what? I'm capable of it, but I don't necessarily want to, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Well, no, when you spend so much time focused on the character and the word and what's happening, I that's why I like to cast my demons into the text, you know. But even then, though, there's like scenes of the World Emperor dissecting abducted humans, and he's like one of the oldest humans. He's like 1 million years old, but he's the furthest from being human. But he's desperately trying to recreate the world, to restore the world he accidentally destroyed when he blew up the second moon. Anywho, but to be in that scene, you're like, oh my god, get me out of here! I need to get back to surfing and listen, writing about music and love and punching Nazis in the face. Let's get to there versus the cosmic horror of existence.
I know the dogs are barking in the background. We've got a whole bunch of people coming in from frisbee golf. But what I was going to say is, I'll never forget. one of my favorite editors. She was the hardest one I ever had. And she would force me to go back to the table all the time. And she said, look, you've had unique life experiences that give you a kind of a bird's eye view of certain kinds of things. And she was talking about forensics, actually, because that was my background. And I realized that that was not what I should be doing, because, you know, you go on one drug bust or you go on a case that you have a young murder victim and you lose it, right? Some people are cut out for that and some people aren't. But reaching down deep and kind of pulling from those experiences to make it more real for your readers, you know, there's a push-pull. And for those folks that choose to use their creative muscle, right, whether it's writing a book or a piece of artwork, you really do bleed around the edges. You know, if you're writing something and you're pouring yourself into the story, it manifests itself in really interesting ways. And, you know, it can be a lot for a lot of people that have never experienced that before. And sometimes that's why it takes, you know, 15 years to write a book, you know, because you're kind of drudging up something that is completely unique to you, that you alone could tell that story, right? And as a result, you know, you face some things that maybe you don't want to. But in the same breath, once that project's done and it's let loose out into the wild, there's a healing that takes place too, which is really the most bizarre thing. You know, it's just, you have to ask yourself, in what capacity and what is your why that's motivating you to create, right? Any artist has to ask that question and answer it of themselves. Why are you here? Are you here in X? Why are you in this space? You know, what drew you to Comfort's couch? Was it that you have a story within you, or that maybe you want to build an NFT or a project? You want to create some lore, but deep down, what is that motivator? 9 times out of 10, it's just, I want to be relevant. I want to be remembered. I want to, you know, after I'm dead and gone, someone recognize that I existed, that the things that I made mattered. You know, those are kind of universal. It doesn't matter where you travel. I've traveled all over the world and listened to makers, especially their story. And when you ask them, why do you make? And it's always either, you know, this is how I'm transferring my skills. You know, this is my mark that I'm leaving on the timeline of history. You know, this is what I want to be remembered as. And, you know, that's the question. But, you know, you have people like, let's say, Mark Twain or Agatha Christie, or folks that wrote thousands of books. You know, you look like what's her name, Barbara Carlyle or Cartwright or something like that. She wrote, like, she started her career at 50 and she wrote 5 or 6 romance novels every single, you know, quarter, right? Because she wanted to, and she was really good at it. She had a system and she churned them out because those were her bread and butter. That's how she made her living. And she wasn't necessarily attached to those characters. It's the same thing as a comic writer, somebody who writes comics for the old newspapers, like a Calvin and Hobbes or a Doonesbury. You become in the stories of these plotline, these characters, and then you just show up to work just like you do in anything else. And it becomes a job as opposed to, you know, the creative process. So, you know, you have to ask yourself, what is it that you're here for? Do you want fame, or do you want relevancy? Do you want just a paycheck? Or because as a ghostwriter, I don't have any connection at all to anything that I write, which is kind of weird for people to think about. But, you know, if you're a designer on call, you're creating designs that end up on a shower curtain. You know, you can't dictate what they're going to use your stuff for. You just create content according to the checked boxes that they have, because that's your job, right? But then now in Web3, you have the leisure to create something for the sole purpose of just because you can. And that's pretty powerful when you think about it. It's not necessarily it's a job, it's something far more. It's bigger than that. So there's a lot of reasons, but ultimately each and every one of you should think about what you're going to put on that piece of paper. Why are you here? You know, why does this story have to be told? Is it a bathing suit that should be shown in public, or is it, you know, something that will be published after I'm dead and gone? You know, those are the questions that you have to ask yourself.
I love it. I love it. DJ, you have any questions? You want any more questions? I'm loving your little questions you got for us. I think it's a brilliant addition.
Yeah, I'm running 23 minutes in midnight, so the
Oh,
question
yeah, no, I just realized it's 6:20. I just realized it was 6:23. Oh my goodness, it's been such a fun couch with all of you. We do need to cut it. Dude, having Michelle on, incredible. Let's back on, get some more questions to him. I have a whole list of questions I was just trying to jot down because as he was talking, I was like, oh man, then think about this one. Let me write this one down. Let me scratch this one off, because he was just answering things and like offering new things. And I love like working with Sarah, like it gave me it reminded me of the fondness I had in college, working with my professors and working with Ye and like, just working together with creatives in mind to make something good, make something work. And it reminded me of just falling in love with the process then. And, having the opportunity to chat with another author, who's conceptualized and produced something from beginning to end and has done it multiple times. And a creator, a maker, a doer, a believer, a freak, a geek, all of y'all. I have nothing but love and thanks and strong admiration. Thank you for coming to Comfort's Couch. Thank you for making this a space where we can talk about story. We can gather together. I hope to inspire more of you to the stage each week. If you do, there are some Genius Childs that I'm giving away. It's my complimentary access pass to the Comfort's Couch in the IO Discord. They've graciously given me a fun little spot in there to put all of my notes on writing. And once we get enough people in there, we'll be able to have a discussion on storytelling, potentially. I don't know how the bandwidth will work on that, but for now, it's a repository for the writing. Just a little gift to you, like I said, to inspire you to contribute your verse for the next 7 generations. I'm Comfort Creatures. We've had Spunky up here. Sarah, it's been a delight. Thank you for lending your verse and your expertise. Maza, as always, hosting us on your Maza Vision live every day. On there, having a ball. D's on there now, hamming it up. Thank you, May for farming the stage. It's a pleasure. You're amazing. I'm just kidding. Nothing but love to everybody in the room. Stay inspired, drink plenty of water, stay mindful of your posture, and continue to be positive and love your life. We'll be back next Tuesday, same bad time, same bad channel.